for the specs and the price, I'm pretty excited about this. This is from AOOSTAR. I actually requested this because it's almost my exact fantasy wish list in a NAS. It's very similar to the one that we 3D printed. There's a video that we did a while ago on, it's like, what's in my ideal NAS? It doesn't exist. I'm just going to have to build it. We used an ITX motherboard and a 3D printed case to kind of get there. This looks like it's going to do it a lot better, a lot more cost effectively. You've probably already seen the press material and read the website and are trying to figure out about this. You should know that this is something that I would order for myself, but it is something that AOOSTAR sent. So I had my credit card out and then was like, maybe they'll send me one. This is the WTR Max 8845. Dear enthusiasts, this is our first meeting. Oh yes, it is indeed. So at the rear, we've got a dual SFP plus 10 gig, 2 copper connections, a USB 4 connection, Oculink, 2 super speed 5 gigabit HDMI and DisplayPort, combination of headphone microphone port. It is basically a mini PC and a tiny form factor. There's 6 3.5-inch bays at the front. Each NVMe is 1 lane. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 bays for mechanical hard drives, and this one, which must not be inserted, this one is not hot swap, but this is what gives you your 4 NVMe bays. It's 4 lanes into 1 connection. AOOSTAR-shop@outlook.com. There's a fan on the bottom with a tiny 4-pin connector. Be careful with that. All right, looks like pre-installed. We got a Crucial P3 Plus and 32 gigabytes of DDR5 5600 CL46. That is non-ECC memory. Oh, we've also got an extra USB 2.0 header off to the side, so you could do some off-label USB 2.0 stuff. We can see that our heatsink, CPU heatsink, exhausts from this side, and our 10 gig adapter heatsink is on the side here. The rear fans are standard 4-pin fans, so you could replace these. There's also enough clearance here that you could use thicker fans for more airflow. I also like that the metal cage for the drives is reinforced, because this thing will be pretty hefty once you get 5 or 6 hard drives in it. It'll be pretty hefty. Also goes without saying that Oculink port, it's not hot plug. If you're going to use Oculink, you gotta not unplug and unplug. That's hard on your PCIe lanes. Our onboard M.2 on the bottom is 2 lanes of Gen 4. We have 4 more M.2 slots. 2 of those have 2 lanes, and the other 2 are 1 lane. So we have 3 M.2 that are 2 lanes of Gen 4, and 2 that are 1 lane of Gen 4. I like the hardware design of this. This is a pretty good setup. And boom, would you look at that? AOOSTAR qualifies Windows on this. And it ships with Windows if you want it to. So you can run Windows on this and use Windows Media Server, Plex on Windows, whatever you're comfortable with. It doesn't have to be a Linux-based solution if you don't want it to be. And I think that's a big selling point for a lot of people. Although doing the home lab thing and like the excitement with containers and all that sort of stuff, there's a whole world of possibilities here opening up before you. But if you just want to run Windows and have a media server with a whole bunch of hard drives, there you go. Now, at the time that I'm doing this video, AOOSTAR seems like they're kind of doing a startup thing, or they're kind of like, this is a pre-order sort of a situation, but it's very close to launching. And they have a few slots left for what they have going on their website. You can order it without an OS, you can order it with 32 gigs, you can order it with 96 gigs. Some of the other configurations are sold out, you know, whether you want the US adapter or not. I don't know very much about that and the volume and like how successful that'll be. There are some weird things about the webpage, like, and the support email being at outlook.com and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I don't know anything about that aspect of it. All I can tell you is how well the hardware works or it doesn't, and that sort of thing. But this also is really, I want to like it because they've done a lot of things that I like correctly, or a lot of stuff that I normally point out. It's like, why is this like that? For example, the 8845 CPU, that's a pro CPU. That means theoretically this should support error correcting memory. It has pro management features. Love that. At the time that I'm doing this video, the software for controlling the LCD, not done yet. At least it's not on the webpage. It is an Intel X710 10 gigabit LAN. That's 2 SFP Plus connections, as I mentioned, but it's Intel X710, and it's truly an Intel X710 chipset, and they've done a nice job managing the thermals from that thing, because that thing does run hot. Yeah, so ECC errors on the AOOSTAR. It does actually detect and report errors correctly. In Linux, if you want to run Linux with this, that's all well and good. It works fine. The little fan in the bottom for cooling memory, also sort of important on this platform, but this is great. This is a Ryzen Pro processor. This is what you get for Pro. A lot of other mini PCs do not work with error correcting memory, and this is ECC UDIM SODIMM. Thanks to a tip from a viewer, I was able to order 2 48 gig sticks of ECC SODIMM memory, 5600, and it does actually work at 5600, and I can get it to produce errors. Now, technically, Passmark Memtest86, the pay-for version, will let you inject errors. That works great on like Threadripper and Epic and Intel Xeon platforms. But it is not injecting errors correctly on AM5 or on Ryzen Pro yet. And I'm not sure why. But the errors are reported to the Linux kernel, and RAS daemon works correctly. So if you wanted to build a pretty nice little package with error correcting memory, this is one of the few packages from AOOSTAR that can do that. It's very nice to see that plumbing. And it also makes me wish that they had a 16-core version, because 96 gigs of memory in this platform, 8 cores, I can do a lot with this. For our Windows setup, we're going to do some benchmarks with Geekbench, and we're using Hardware Info 64 to keep an eye on the sensors, even before I do the aforementioned off-script Linux thing. I'm seeing boosts up to 5.1 gigahertz on our 8-core 16-thread platform here, and it has 38 TOPS of compute performance because this is a mobile CPU, so you have the NPU available to you as well. It's a Radeon 740, so you've got that for your iGPU or your GPU options in terms of transcode, video out, that sort of thing. 2522 single-core score, 12184 multi-core score. Whisper quiet. I can't hear this over my air conditioner. Our onboard M.2 on the bottom is 2 lanes of Gen 4. We have 4 more M.2 slots. 2 of those have 2 lanes, and the other 2 are 1 lane. So we have 3 M.2 that are 2 lanes of Gen 4, and 2 that are 1 lane of Gen 4. It's a pretty interesting breakdown in our PCIe lanes. Plus we have our 4-lane Oculink port for external peripherals and external creative uses. Out of the box, it is not configured with Secure Boot. If you want to run Secure Boot, you'll have to enable that, jump through some hoops in BIOS, even in the Windows configuration. I was a little surprised by that. Also, ran a 30-minute burn-in test with Cinebench, and it scored 875. Not bad for an 8-core platform, an 8-core mobile platform, a pro mobile platform. And in our Hardware Info 64 results, well, you can see here as I scroll through the results that our CPU temperature topped out at about 80 degrees C, and the fan speed was only slightly more audible in its worst case scenario than it was the rest of the time. One thing I am a little surprised about is power utilization. Now, I can get the power utilization as low as about 12 watts, give or take, but most of the time, before I add drives, it's idling at about 42 watts. A significant percentage of that is our Intel 710, and that is before I add our SFP Plus adapters. Those will also consume a little bit of power. Our SFP Plus to copper adapters, that's what they were talking about in the intro. These also use a significant amount of power, much more power than a crossover cable. So if you're going to go from this to an SFP Plus switch, a copper crossover cable or a copper SFP Plus to SFP Plus cable typically is on the order of 2 to 5 watts, whereas this can be significantly higher power and heat generation. So something to keep in mind. In case you're wondering about the front screen and how that works, it's a USB device. It shows up as USB billboard device, and I'm pretty encouraged by the fact that they're promising both Linux and Windows software for the front screen. Probably be able to customize that and do some really fun creative things with it. I'm wondering if I could turn this into a media ingest station. I could put the camera SD card in the front and have it say when it's done transferring the media to the network server automatically. That'd be a lot of fun for, this sort of a use case. Let's test our USB 4 use case. It's on hard mode because it's Windows. Now, for our BIOS situation, it seems to be fully unlocked. It's basically a server class BIOS, and you've got a lot of options in here to configure for AER error correction and IOMMU, and all of the fun edge case options. You can boot off the network. That's fully supported. It has the EFI driver on both the X710 side and the 226V, which is our 2.5 gig copper Ethernet solution that's built in. There's options for USB 4 and enabling USB 4 and changing the way that USB 4 works, which can be useful in a cross-platform type of situation. Our Thunderbolt enclosure has worked correctly. It has correctly detected our NVIDIA RTX 4000 SFF in our external enclosure at USB 4, so that's nice. Also noticed in BIOS there were 2 USB 4 options, so let's try the front and see if the front is also USB 4. Yeah, the front Type-C port is not actually Thunderbolt. The implementation and hardware must not use the other Thunderbolt 4 pathway or the other USB 4 pathway on this, the other Thunderbolt compatible pathway. So now I've already tested the Oculink port separately, and that basically works as advertised. You'll need to use that with an external adapter that has its own power delivery system, but you could use that for an AI type use case. I mean, this GPU is 75 watts, but has 20 gigs of VRAM, and they just came out with the Blackwell version. This is the Ada generation version. But I love shoving this in low power configurations because it is a ridiculously powerful GPU if you're going to do transcoding or if you're going to do AI or anything else. It is fairly expensive, however. And that's pretty much everything for this first look at this. Now, I have not had a lot of time with this platform, and so I really need to put it through some more stringent testing. And I haven't used AOOSTAR devices in the past, so I don't really know very much about the brand. But in terms of what I see so far, what's here and how it's put together, so far I really like what I see. This is the sort of fantasy checklist for a home server type solution that I've wanted since time immemorial. This would be a great solution in an apartment or somewhere you don't have a lot of space or power. It's not a really super low solution. Like, there are other things out there you can get that have a much lower idle power, but by the time you add some mechanical hard drives to this and really round out the rest of the system, you're probably looking at 40 to 100 watts in an idle configuration. Now, if you spin down the hard drives and you put everything to sleep, obviously it's not going to be that high. But I question whether you would really be able to get this platform below an idle power of about 25 watts. I think that's reasonable, though, for the amount of functionality that you get here. I mean, these Zen 4 cores are no slouch. They'll run really fast. It's really the rest of the platform that's using up all the power. This is a relatively quiet platform. It has a lot of functionality. You have 10 gigabit SFP Plus, which again, by itself, uses kind of a lot of power. There's a lot I like about this. It really does smell like Forbidden Router. So I'm gonna call it for this video for now. However, we've got a forum, and in the forum, you can communicate with me. What sort of fun, interesting project would you like to see on this? I'm gonna lean toward building a virtualized router and using the SFP Plus ports plus VLANs into a switch to build something that is a virtualization platform where we have routing and packet filtering running as a virtual machine on this platform, and with high availability and failover to another device. Maybe another AOOSTAR, or maybe another device that's just running the virtual machines and using this for media storage. I think we can do that and still have high availability. I think that'll be a fun, interesting project, and we're probably going to use Proxmox. There's a new version of Proxmox that just came out for the host operating system for that, not Windows. But as a platform for Unraid or TrueNAS or anything like that, this works great because of its standard PC underbelly. So if you want to build a TrueNAS machine that has 6 mechanical hard drives and you got plenty of M.2 to use for an L2 ARC or mirrored L2 ARC or mirrored ZIL, this platform has a lot of flexibility for those options. So hit me up in the forum with what you want to see me build this platform around, or if you want me to test drive what you're thinking about building. But I wanted to get this video out there because it doesn't seem like there's a ton of reservations left, and I really hope that they build more NAS platforms like this, because this is really exciting to see this kind of flexibility. And this is, you throw Tailscale on here, you can start to self-host things, and this becomes the building block of our decoupled from corporate interests that don't have our best interests at heart future. And so using this as a building block for your home lab ticks a lot of the boxes for quiet and awesome and not hugely complicated and blah blah blah. And and yes, if you're looking to save money, you can DIY it. You could build something that would be as effective for your home lab, but this is a nice little package. I'm Wilderness Level 1. That's been a quick look at the 8845, the WTR Max from AOOSTAR. So, yeah, very interesting. Very surprised by what I've gotten so far. All right, I'm signing out. You can find me in the Level 1 forums. But dude, let's chat. All right, I'm signing out and I'll see you there.